This machine was sold as a Columbia Grafonola Deluxe. I'm going to open the lid here and you can see the inside just a little bit. It's a combination phonograph music box. It plays the metal records. It has a tone arm and a turntable which you can detach and remove for playing a regular lateral cut 78 RPM records. Now, this machine, even though it says Columbia Grafonola and Grafonola Deluxe, was actually sold three ways, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it in a second. It was sold by Columbia, the way you see it here, as a Grafonola Deluxe, as a combination phonograph and music box. It was also sold without the music box parts in it as just a Columbia Grafonola or Columbia Grafonola Deluxe, and then you could purchase the music box portion of it for $25 extra, and it was additionally sold just as a regular Columbia Grafonola without any music box in it at all. So sold three ways, and one of the ways you can tell besides the nameplate on it is if you look inside the cabinet. Let's open this up, and you can see that the interior is divided for metal records and 78 RPM records, and in this case it looks like we've got some of the original albums for 78 RPM records. Now, because this one was sold by Columbia as a Grafonola Deluxe, so the record storage is prominent, more prominent. In other words, the record storage portion is larger than the storage for metal records. If it was sold by Regina as a Reginaphone, which would have been a Style 240 Reginaphone, and we had an example here, you would see that the storage proportion for the metal records was actually greater than the storage proportion for 78 RPM records. This machine is somewhat scarce in all variations, very collectible. It was apparently very popular in its time. According to the Bauer's Encyclopedia of Automatic Musical Instruments, approximately 350 were sold, or at least serial numbers recorded as Style 240 Reginaphones. In other words, serial numbers in the starting with the 240 digits. From the number that I've seen, I suspect that the number sold was maybe a little bit greater than that, although I can't prove it. Additionally, some were sold by Wurlitzer just as Wurlitzers, and some like this one were sold as Grafonolas without Regina serial numbers. But in any event, fairly scarce, beautiful cabinet with the lion's head, very popular, very desirable. Trying to get a close-up here with the combs. If I get the camera to focus, sometimes I can't always get it to focus at this range. You can see that it's double comb Regina, and also what Regina called short bed plate. In other words, the bed plate extends only half the width of the cabinet, and this was a very late development in the music box, and it's generally considered the best sounding of the Reginas. It's a double comb machine. Short bed plate is always double comb. If you look over here, you can see that the Regina data plate has been replaced by a data plate that says American Grafophone Company. The tone arm is a regular Columbia tone arm with a regular Columbia reproducer, and it sits up high on this metal flange, which you sometimes see a flange like this on some of the Grafonolas sold as furniture, like the ones that were sold as desks or tables. Maybe not quite the same flange, but the same arrangement, and it's necessary to elevate everything here above the star wheel gantry and the pressure bar. It actually has to, if we're going to put the turntable on this, and I'll do this for you just right now briefly to show you how it works. Turntable goes on this spindle, and the turntable has to be elevated around 2 inches to clear the gantry in the comb so it doesn't interfere or damage the music box portion of it. Over here we can see the drawers that slide out of the way to reveal the horn, and these do not pull out like a Victrola. They actually slide to the side, and they get a little bit sticky over the years. Here we go. Now we can see the nice mahogany horn on the inside. The reason they get a little bit sticky is that they actually, the runners run through felt bushings, and I haven't found anyone making that felt anymore. A lot of times you see these knobs pulled off because people tried to pull the doors open, but they don't come straight out, they actually go to the side. This machine was introduced as the Grafonola Deluxe in 1909 as to why they were making combination phonographs. Music boxes, why someone would want them. By 1909, the music box was very much going out of fashion and replaced by the talking machine. And the wonder of the talking machine was it could reproduce the human voice, which the music box never could. The music box was considered the equivalent of a fine musical instrument. Heyday of the music box was about 1895 to 1905. So by 1909, sales were falling, and in order to stay in business, some of the companies decided to go with this combination sort of machine, which played both metal records and 78 RPM flat disc records. Again, if we can get this in focus, I'm trying to get you a close-up of the on-off switch and speed control. This was your speed control. You just twist it to speed up or slow down the machine, and obviously you'd want to adjust it for 78 RPM, and for the music box, most of the time you probably want it to play a little bit slower. The on-off switch sometimes confuses a lot of people. There are 3 settings on this one. Right now it's set at start. Actually, it's set at stop, which is the same thing as stop at end of tune. The center position is play, and the farthest forward position is stop at once. So why would you have 3 positions just to start and stop the machine? Well, if you're playing the music box, it's always a good idea to run the disc from the starting position all the way through back again to the bald stop spot, which is the start of the disc, and that would, at least in theory, reposition the star wheels properly for the next place. And so here's the way it works. When you start the machine, you push this into the middle position, the motor will start, you let it play for a couple of seconds, then you push it all the way back, and the motor will stop at the end of the tune, so it'll play through exactly 1 tune. And the reason this works technically is that there is a groove cut into the spring barrel and a little finger that rides in that groove, and when you push this forward, it lifts the finger out of the groove, the motor takes off, and the barrel actually rotates halfway around and comes to another groove. The finger drops into the groove, it hits tripwire, and the mechanism stops. Remember, there's a bald spot on the disc, which is the start of the record. 99% of the Regina discs are going to be like this. Maybe once in a blue moon you might run into a disc that's marked continuous play that's going to have projections over here, but probably you're not. If you're wondering what this little slot is, this is for the earlier type of polyphon motor and polyphon on-off mechanism, which is compatible with make the disc compatible with later Regina machines. So let's play this. There seems to be someone that always wants to know the title of the record, so this is Austrian Swallows Waltz by Strauss. Now let's put on a turntable and try this as a straight phonograph. And this turntable is actually a reproduction. You almost never get the original turntables with these machines. They're almost always lost. So let's sit it on the slot here, and I'm going to cheat just a little bit. I'm going to try and time this just a little bit with a strobe to get it closer to 78 RPM.
I don't know what politician you have reference to. Well, it isn't Mr. Bryan, then it must be Mr. Hughes. I've got a husband to this bunch I'm going to interview. Who's that? Barney Google with a go-go-go to the eyes. Barney Google had a wife with time to cry. He's been Barney Baltimore, and now he's living with his home. Barney Google with a go-go-go to the eyes. Who's the greatest lover that this country ever knew? And who's the man that Valentino takes his hat off to? No, it isn't just this Fairbank that the ladies rave about. When he arrives, who makes the wives kick all their husbands out?